Hey everyone, it's Mike from Clicked Marketing, and today we're going to talk about anchor text. We're going to talk about some of the best practices you should use for anchor text in your link building campaigns to get the most out of them. Some of this is going to go against what you may have heard from other SEOs or read on other websites, but I'm going to ask that you stick with me till the end. And by the end, I think we'll be in the same place for best practices, just maybe for different reasons. So before we get started, I'm going to give you my one golden rule for anchor text. And if you get nothing else out of this entire video, you don't learn anything else, but you take away this one rule, you're never going to have to worry about what anchor text you should use on links ever again. You're not going to have to worry about anchor text ratios or anything like that. That rule that I've been following for 12 to 15 years now is really simple. Your anchor text should either describe why you are linking to a page, or it should describe what the page you are linking to is about. That's it. Okay, I'm going to say that again. Your anchor text should either describe why you are linking to a page, or it should describe what the page you are linking to is about. And if you do that, your anchor text is going to be SEO optimized. It's also going to be optimized for your web visitors and useful to your web visitors. So again, if you get nothing else out of this entire video but that one single rule, and you follow that rule, you're never going to have to worry about anchor text ever again. So there's a couple other things I want to talk about anchor text, and some I think a couple of these are kind of myths that are out there. The first one is never ever use naked URLs as anchors. Not intentionally anyhow. It's one of the dumbest ideas I've ever heard. No, it's not natural. It doesn't make your link profile look more natural. I think we can all agree that probably the most natural links you'll find out there are links within the content of an article. Nobody links with naked URLs inside articles. And that was not at all common until SEOs started doing it a few years ago. Think about if you're writing an article about, let's say, how to build a PC. Okay, you wouldn't say something like, looking at their selection and prices, I would not recommend shopping for PC components at http://bestbuy.com. Okay, you wouldn't use the naked URL like that. You instead would use something like, looking at their selection and prices, I would not recommend shopping for PC components at Best Buy, where the PC components at Best Buy would be the anchor text. That makes way more sense. It's way more natural, and it's easier to read. It's better for your users and for search engines. And I'm going to repeat this one. You do not need to use naked URL links to make your link profile look natural. I've been doing SEO since 2003 or 2004. In all of that time, I can actually tell you how many times I've intentionally built a naked URL link, or a link with naked URL as the anchor text. 0. I have done it 0 times in all those years. The only time I've done it is when I've been forced to do it, where I was doing like a press release that only allowed the naked URLs as a link, or in a lot of directories, they'll only allow that, and that's the only option you have. That's the only time I do it. I never intentionally set about creating naked URL anchors. I know a lot of people will look at big brands and say, well, they have tons of naked URLs as anchor text in their link profile. And they think that's proof that that's what you need to do too. But what you have to remember about big brands is big brands do a lot of actual PR work also. And a lot of that PR work includes things like press releases. And those press releases only have an option for naked URL links. So that's one of the reasons, one of the ways that they get a lot of those links. The other thing, if you really believe that you need links with naked URL anchors, and I can't convince you otherwise, that's fine. Just remember, there's plenty of directories out there and scraper sites that will scrape your content and link to you with naked URLs. So you're going to get them whether you want them or not. And like I said, there's a lot of directories that's your only option. So if you really think that you need naked URLs to make your link profile look natural, fine. But save them for those type of links, those kind of lower quality links anyhow that aren't your best links. Don't waste good link opportunities with naked URLs. And especially never do it with internal links. It makes no sense at all to me why people do it with internal links, but I just had a consulting call this past Monday with an SEO and with a business owner and their SEO. They were calling me just to do a consult for some extra help. And one of the things I noticed on this website was a lot of their internal links were actually naked URLs. And when I asked the SEO, and the business owner why that was, the response I got was that it was to make their link profile look more natural. And that is just incredibly bad idea and just stupid. So don't do that. If you really feel that you need those naked URLs, save them for directories, let the scraper sites you're going to get. And that's one of the reasons that big brands have so many naked URL links is they get scraped even more often, and they end up with a lot of those naked URL links back to those pages. The other thing I want to talk about is a really big topic whenever anchor text comes up is, should you worry about anchor text ratios? Should you worry about what percentage anchors you're using throughout your link profile? And I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, and people are definitely going to disagree with me. And if you want to talk about it, leave a comment below the video. We can talk more about it. But again, stick with me till the end here and hear me out on this. But I'm going to say no. You do not need to worry about anchor text ratios. I know you've probably heard how important it is, and it makes your link profile look more natural. Although I would say that shooting for a specific percentage of anchors makes it look more unnatural than natural, to be honest. But I've never really found any solid evidence that certain percentages matter for your anchor text. And for those of you, I know a lot of people who are watching this video weren't doing SEO back when Penguin first came out, back in 2013. But for those of you that weren't doing SEO back then, it really came about when Penguin launched. And when Penguin first released, it wasn't the same as what it is today. Bad links could actually get your site penalized algorithmically, and literally you would see rankings drop overnight. And the websites that we saw tanking when Penguin released it was mostly spammers. It was mostly people who were using really spammy links. And when it happened, though, there was a ton of panic in the community. Nobody knew for sure what type of links were targeted, although if you go back a few months before that, Google had sent out over 750,000 spam warnings inside of, at that time it was Google Webmaster Tools, it's Search Console today. And those warnings were for spammy type of link building activities. And there were some things that we were able to draw out from seeing some of those warnings and those type of sites that could kind of see what they were targeting. And then when Penguin hit, it kind of matched up. But for most people, most of the community was kind of panicked and didn't know what Penguin was after. Within a few days of Penguin launching, there was an article that came out, and I cannot remember for sure the name of the site it was on. I want to say it was a group called Microsite Masters. And I know there's a website by that name out there now. I don't think it's the same owners or the same group. But what they put in this article that they wrote was that they found that it was high ratios of the same anchor text were what Penguin was targeting. And this article spread by like wildfire. People were so panicked and desperate to figure out what was going on at that time, and they were just desperate for answers, that a lot of people never bothered to question it. Now, at that time, and even today, if you look at how spammers were, or low-quality link builders, whatever you want to call them, were doing things, back then, a lot of them were using tools like XRumor, SENuke, Bookmarking Demon, SixSmitter. There was a ton of tools out there that would build Scrapebox. You'd build massive amounts of low-quality links. And you could, if you knew what you were doing, you could make a few 100,000 links in a day, 2 days. Some people were making even more than that. And if you had the right setup and you knew what you were doing. What most spammers and low-quality link builders were doing was using high percentages of the same anchor text. If they wanted to rank for lowest rate mortgages, then that's what they used for almost all of their anchor texts and all the links they were building. And it was not uncommon to see a page rank highly for a term that had anywhere from 75 to 90% of the same anchors in their link profile. That was not uncommon back then. But was it really the anchor text percentage that got them caught, or was it the fact that they were using low quality links? And there were tons of sites that were hit by Penguin that had varied anchor text and didn't have high percentages of the same links, and they still got hit. So to me, it was always the low quality links that Penguin was targeting, not the percentage of anchor text being used. And I've tested this many times using really varied anchor text, and Penguin would always catch up with the site eventually, no matter what percentages I used. But let's think of it another way. What if you created the world's best, we'll stick with the mortgages. Let's say you created the world's best online mortgage calculator, and that online mortgage calculator went viral. People are sharing it, they're linking back to it. Well, what kind of anchor text do you think most people are going to use that link to that page? They're probably going to use online mortgage calculator, some might use best online mortgage calculator, but basically those anchors, that's going to make up probably 90% of the anchors pointing back at that page. Now, does it really make sense for Google to punish a page for doing exactly what they preach? Google's always saying that you should create unique and useful content, which the world's best online mortgage calculator would be, that you should market it, and if it goes viral, you probably did a good job of marketing it, and naturally get links back to it. And in a case like that, you naturally get links back. Most of the anchors are going to be pretty similar or identical. You're going to, like I said, it wouldn't be surprising to find 85 to 90% of the anchors being exactly the same. So why would Google punish a site for that? It just doesn't really make any sense. So it's really the low quality links that are the problem more so than the anchor text. And there's some, there could be some exceptions, but all of that being said, I'm not going to argue, if you think that you need to vary up your anchor text, guess what? I'm going to agree with you. I think it's a good practice to vary up your anchors. Now, I don't do it because I'm worried about some artificial percentages of anchors, but I've always used varied, even going back probably 2007, 2008, I really made this a focus, and long before Penguin came out. It wasn't because of some worry about anchor text ratios though, but I did it. I've always used varied anchors and partial keyword match in my anchors, some exact match, but I've always used those varied anchors because, in my opinion, it gives the search engines more information and more signals about what your page is about. So I've always tried to vary up the anchors, and I'm never trying to rank for just one keyword. I might have most of the pages that I'm really working on are targeting 50 to 75 keywords and different variations on that one page. So I like using varied anchor text for that reason. It just gives more signals to the search engines what your page is about by using different terms. But I'll never tell somebody that you should shoot for X percentage of naked URLs, and X percent should be brand name anchors, and then X percent should be your keyword and things like that. That's never made any sense to me, and I've never seen any really solid evidence that it really matters. But again, we don't have to debate that. I'm advocating you should vary your anchor text just for a different reason. I think it gives better signals to the search engines of what kind of things your page is about and what it should rank for. Just want to repeat though, if you get nothing else out of this video, just remember the golden rule that I shared at the beginning. Your anchor text should either describe why you are linking to a page, or it should describe what that page you're linking to is about. That's it. If you concentrate on just doing that and don't worry about anything else with your anchor text, just either describe why you're linking to the page or what the page is about, you'll be fine. All right, so those are some best practices to follow for anchor text. If you have questions, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you next time.